broadcasting from across the North American continent of the Terran Empire, bringing you our unpopular Star Trek opinions since 2020. This is Code 47.
Hey, back again and again and again for the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Bit of a mulligan of a week. Today is Sunday. Back on the previous Thursday was Star Trek Day. We were so fired up. We got together, Wednesday was Star Trek Day. We got together on Thursday. So fired up to record a special. We recorded it. It was like 20 minutes and the audio was screwed up. So as I listened to it, I reached back out to my awesome cohorts, Lieutenant Commander Rich and Aaron, who are right here with me. Say hello.
Hey.
Hello. And we tried it again, and it was still screwed up again. So I never really got to the bottom of why, but you know what? We're gonna put that in the rear view, and we're gonna call episode 49. We're gonna count it among the honored lost. I remember there was a lost episode of Secret Friends Unite, our parent podcast, back in 2016 about Doctor Strange that I was supposed to edit that I totally screwed up. So that one is lost, and this one is found. So this is episode 50. Long live episode 49. But at any rate, hi guys, happy Sunday.
It's a great Sunday.
It is a great Sunday.
I'm so relaxed.
I mean, it's okay. I don't know.
I know.
I didn't get to go to a beach, so
I know. I was
That's
at the
true.
beach all morning. That was
Yes.
really nice.
It's very gray here and kind of uninspirational. But
Oh
anyway,
my God, it's 82 and there's like a nice breeze happening, but it's
Oh.
sunny and there were like
you're making me
pelicans
jealous.
everywhere.
Stop. No, come on.
I love
rub
it.
it in. Rub it in. Well, let's at the very least get rolling on this deal. We've got a great Infinite Diversity episode and a half to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to get into episode 5, the midway point of Lower Decks season 2, an embarrassment of Dupplers.
Emphasis on the embarrassment.
I know. I was like, how apt is that name? Embarrassment.
They're poking a little bit too much fun at each other. All right, I will say it was an improvement over last week.
I have notes.
That being said, I found some parts of it to be fun, where last week's episode I did not find parts of it to be fun. I found it to be really gross.
I had one chuckle in this entire thing, and it wasn't even a chuckle.
Was it the crowd surfing?
No.
Okay.
It was the old guy in the aviary, and I didn't even chuckle about it. I just thought to myself, "Gee, that was kind of funny." I didn't even actually laugh. The old guy in the aviary, he says, "Oh, this is how I die," and then when he doesn't die, he's like, "Well, still alive." And I thought, okay, that's slightly amusing.
That was a thing.
But that's literally the only part that I even reflected on and thought to myself, "Wow, that was okay. That was good." Right?
I mean, they kind of marched forward with like Easter egging it up a little bit, like the bar at the end had like,
of course,
Kirk and Spock signed, back in the 2260, and you see, the planet killer thing is hanging, like a model from the ceiling, whatever it is. But they threw in the outrageous Okana, which was the season 2 reference from TNG. He was the DJ at the captain's party, and the captain's party didn't make any sense either. So it's like, and they did the whole Blues Brothers homage driving through the mall and stuff. So maybe a nod and a smile, but the thing that really rankles me is, what we were talking about last week, and Aaron, you and I were talking about this in the pre-roll. It's all the bleeped out language. It's super duper unnecessary, and it seems to really be coming from Cat Doctor. She's the one with the dirty mouth, and it's just like I don't like it. I'm fine with it on Discovery, like when they drop an F-bomb and it punctuates something, or the really twatty admiral who was mouthing off to Picard in the first season of Picard. It just wasn't like all the time.
I have to say, I really appreciate, and I would especially for a cartoon that I feel is geared toward younger people, I really appreciate comedy that's funny in its own right without having to swear, without having to talk about sex,
I agree.
without any of this like, lowbrow stuff, which I do all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I'm not funny. So
oh, come on. Oh man.
It's low-hanging fruit. The problem is it's low-hanging fruit, and there's nothing to balance it, right?
I think that's pretty accurate. Rich, and speaking of things that aren't, go ahead, please.
Well, what I was going to say is that to punctuate that, this episode is actually written by 2 Family Guy alums, We talk about how this
Yeah.
is Family Guy in space. This was written by Family Guy people.
But I
That
feel like it was less Family Guy than last week.
Yeah.
I was telling Charlie, he said he rewatched it. I considered it because when I watched the first time, I caught snippets of it, but I kept like just thinking about other things like boats and like like I was just my mind was wandering
Yeah.
to other things. I'm like, oh, I have to Google that because I don't know the answer to it. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be watching Lower Decks. And I kept catching myself. So I decided that that's kind of is a testament to itself. So I didn't bother to rewatch it.
I don't
Yeah.
Rich, I just detected in scrolling through this link I had the couple canon connections. Another reason we might have really disliked it. First two strongest ones are connections to the animated series. The jihad and the slaver weapon. I remember we really did enjoy those two in particular, especially
Yeah.
something called the jihad. No,
I
it's a bad
don't
idea.
know what that is because I've never seen the animated series, but it sounds like something super freaking offensive. So
It is super freaking offensive. That was our take.
And since it was in the 70s. All right. Let's final thoughts before we move on, please.
Well, I have a couple of other questions here.
Yes.
And
Okay.
a statement. Okay. First of all, the show is just fucking exhausting. I gotta throw that out there. The show is exhausting.
the longest 20 minutes of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay, so first question is, if this show seems to take place shortly after Next Generation,
Nemesis, yeah.
right around the time of, Riker on the Titan, et cetera, why are their uniforms so different than TNG uniforms?
Well, I actually have a postulate to that. Do keep in mind that the TNG Classic 2-piece and the Voyager / DS9 1-piece jumpsuit did coexist for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So the Nemesis uniforms are still in place here, and then there's this Lower Decks variant. So Starfleet does mix it up a bit with different kind of uniforms that can be simultaneous. So that part of it, I guess I can explain away a little bit. Okay. But the different weird dress uniforms, not so much. Like, why would they have a completely different? Well, because you know how the dress uniform that you saw in Insurrection, and then on a couple of episodes in the final season of DS9, it was all white and in gray in the middle, and the captain's version was all white. They try to do something like that. Like, I'm looking at a picture of it here. They try to do something like that. Oh, they actually show them side by side. If you scroll to the bottom of it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
I have a question that's not
Okay.
related to this, but it's a uniform question.
Okay.
But
real quick,
I'll wait.
Let's
just real quick, please. Aaron. I don't want to interrupt here, but I just want to tack on to the rest of that. That question was actually, the statement is the follow up. Charlie, your response to that is why I think this show is tailored towards people like you, who are into every nitty gritty detail and every possible connection to every possible other episode of Star Trek. That's who this show is geared towards. It's just basically nonstop. Throw this at them. 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 And
You're right.
People make
You're
those
absolutely
connections, and it's like, I'm not here for that. I'm here for, my take on Trek is I want it to be the good sci-fi that I know it is, and give me something that is going to be a parable for our modern times. That's what good sci-fi does. This doesn't do that for me, but it does everything with you.
You are one. I 100%. See, talk about infinite diversity. I 100% see where you're coming from. I really do.
I have to say though, Charlie, even though this is geared towards him, he's not particularly enjoying that, and I don't know if a lot of that,
this season, no.
If we're specifically maybe influenced by that because you and I don't really like it that much, but maybe he doesn't like being pandered to, and that's becoming obvious.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like you said, the tonal shift even between what felt a little bit more lighthearted and fun in the first season to now just being like you said, tilting that tachometer towards the FG, the Family Guy zone. You don't want to get into that red. I feel like it's too close. So yeah, that's what's turning me off. So I'm with you, and you're right. It's a little on the nose for people who are like, well, okay, you threw me an Easter egg, but it's not cute, funny, or relevant, and I don't get it. So it either goes over my head, or I either don't care that it goes over my head, or it annoys me that it goes over my head and it's keeping me from enjoying it because it's not enjoyable otherwise.
Right.
Potentially.
Aaron, what were you going to say, Aaron? I'm sorry. I want to
Well,
get back to that. So
it's not directly related to this episode or anything we're talking about, but it's a uniform question that we actually talked about last night with the Monster Maroon, and I want to ask Charlie.
Okay. Okay. You and I were
Okay.
talking about the Monster Maroon last
No,
night?
Rich and I
we
were.
were talking
Oh,
about it
okay.
last night. Yeah.
We were in a watch party, and so how many years before TNG did they wear Monster Maroon?
I can answer this question. The Monster
Great.
Maroon was worn. It's a two-part answer. Was worn between the 2270s, so after Star Trek: The Motion Picture, before Star Trek II, all the way up to about the year 2350, which was almost 15 years before the beginning of TNG.
Okay, so maybe that did make sense.
Yeah, and in that time in between, that uniform went from having the stand-up collar and an undershirt and a belt to keeping the belt, but the shirt became a crew neck, to all the way at the end, no belt, no crew neck, or just no shirt underneath. So
Okay.
it's like it became more casual throughout the years. But that was the longest running uniform in all of Starfleet history, because we're talking about 75 years.
Yeah, that's why I was curious. We were watching this episode last night where Wesley Crusher
Oh, he
gets
sees
that
his dad.
box. Yeah, he sees
Yep.
his dad. He gets that box of stuff, and it's a Monster Maroon
Right.
uniform inside of it. And I was like, wait a minute. So they
Super
wore it
cash.
all
Right.
that time, and then like Wesley has to be 15, so
Right.
that's his dead dad's uniform. So he had to be like a baby or like one
Well,
whenever
he
he
said
died.
I think the dialogue, if I remember, said he was like 10 weeks old, and Wesley was born in like 2348, so that would have been 15 years prior. But quick little an Easter egg about that: when they were dressing that actor in that uniform, they couldn't find the correct com badge, so they slapped a TNG com badge on him, and then it
Oh,
became canon that com badge predated the TNG uniform. Anyway,
okay.
there you go.
All right,
Interesting.
cool.
All right, well, that's it then. Rich, anything else?
Oh yeah, I had
Please.
one other note. The cat doctor.
Yes.
Why doesn't she have 6 boob bumps?
I didn't even notice that she had one. Did she have her shirt off at some point?
No, she has 2 boob bumps. She has like boob bumps on the uniform, right? If she's a cat, she should have like 6 or 8 or something, right?
But remember, that whole species was from TAS, and you and I are the ones that watched it. That cat had 2 boobs in TAS. Okay, I'm just saying, I've not looked into it.
I mean, it didn't bother me. It's just I noticed it, and I thought, cats don't have just like two mammary glands. They've got more than that.
I mean, cats don't have big human-looking breasts, as I've noticed. So I guess.
Yeah, but they also don't swear up a storm, Charlie. I'm just saying.
That was my biggest issue. Well, you don't really. Yeah, Sarah Marinara does, because you said she never stops meowing.
Oh my
and
God,
she's probably like
constant.
saying, she's like, Aaron, kiss my ass. Aaron, kiss my ass. That's all she's doing. She's calling you everything but a white man or woman in this case.
She's yelling at me that she wants me to love her.
You must love me. Okay, well, let's move on to talking about something that I would imagine we all enjoyed and actually has some cultural significance. And Aaron, this episode was your pick, or Rich, was this you? It was
I gave 4.
Okay.
And then this one was the obvious choice for addiction, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And then I just threw the other one in because it's a little bit silly, but it's not
but still, yeah. Okay, so that makes this yours. So go for it.
Can I make it Rich's?
Why?
Okay, then I'll do it.
That's up to him.
What did I do?
I don't know. I just feel like if you pick it, you should lead it. It doesn't have to be me. So go for it.
So for our segment Infinite Diversity, we're going to be talking about addiction, drug addiction specifically. So TNG Symbiosis. After the Enterprise D rescues a freighter crew from the ship's important cargo, Captain Picard faces a difficult dilemma: uphold the Prime Directive or save an entire civilization from exploitation.
Ooh.
And then the next episode, The Game, Wesley Crusher visits the Enterprise only to see everyone behaving strangely on the account of an addictive, mind-controlling game.
Mm-hmm. And if I can point out something interesting early on, and this is patently obvious to anyone who's watched certainly the first episode. This episode was season 1 of TNG, was the 1987-88 season. So this was deep in the 80s, which was of course jam packed with Nancy Reagan and her Just Say No to Drugs campaign. But Wesley has this conversation with Tasha Yar, and this was one of the last episodes that she did. As a matter of fact, I have an Easter egg which I'll reveal at the end. This was actually the last episode she filmed, but not the last episode that she was in. But I'll talk about that.
Yeah,
I'll talk about that later on.
Often do them out of order. I know that. I mean, Voyagers were all out of order.
Oh yeah, but But I mean, there is a very specific Easter egg which I'll drop later if you're not familiar with it. But at any rate, Wesley has this whole speech. How could anybody get addicted to drugs? I don't understand. It seems like if it's bad for you, you wouldn't do it. And then Tasha jumps in. And she, he's the voice of the youth. She's the voice of the rest of us who get it. And she says, drugs are an escape. If life sucks, you're looking for a way to get away from it, and then it makes you feel good. But over time, you take it just to feel normal, and then all you're thinking about is, if you can't get it, is how do I get it, and it rules your life.
I really struggled with this, and I know I had a private conversation with Rich over whether I should talk about my own personal experience with drug use or not. The reason I'm going to, but the reason I wouldn't want to is I've never been addicted to anything. So I've never gone through that, but there is definitely an allure to it, especially if you're feeling depressed and you have a little bit of an addictive personality. I was just had an aha moment knowing that if I was cutting cocaine with crystal meth to do on weekends, all my teeth were going to fall out and I was going to die eventually. So I just said, I love this. I can't do it anymore.
I mean, I don't have, I think most of us drink a little bit. Some of us drink a lot of it, depending on,
I'm drinking right now.
I believe you, and it's only 9:00 in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I will, as I get older, I might have a drink if I'm feeling crap. I might drink a little whiskey. Maybe I was grinding my teeth the night before, my body hurts, or maybe my back hurts or something. And so, yeah, I might be self-medicating a little bit. Wouldn't want to say I'm necessarily addicted to it, but something
I think that you self-medicate more than you're letting on.
Potentially.
And I'm not trying to insult you by saying that, but I think you're really downplaying it, because you and I will both be drinking at the same time a lot of the time. But I don't think you have an alcohol problem. I'm not saying that.
I mean, I don't ever drink. I wouldn't say, an addiction can take on so many forms. I wouldn't say I was one of those people like, I got to get the day started. I got to have a shot of Jameson, you know what I mean? Or I gotta, smoke a joint. And marijuana is a great example for me. I went through a period of college of about 6 months that I had a roommate that was his deal, and I tried it. I think the very first time I came down, I had a real hard panic attack, and I didn't touch it for another 25 years. And then as my stepson got older, that's something he's really into, and he's an adult, and it's legal here in Michigan, so I think it's okay.
Well, I think it should be legal anywhere, because I used to feel that it doesn't cause any negative effects until, my fiance, I hope he doesn't get mad for me talking about this openly, but people should know about it. He smoked one of those pens.
Okay.
All the time. And he developed something called like cannabinoid hyperesmesis syndrome, which
I think you told me about that when that happened. It wasn't that long ago.
No, it really wasn't. It was, within the last 4 months. So, and that was a big change for him in lifestyle. So luckily it's not addictive physically. So he wasn't, the symptoms of the condition he had sure seemed like it, but
if I could put a pin in what I'm saying, so Nathaniel, April's older son, my stepson, and his girlfriend came over here one night. We all sat outside and passed a bong around or something. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm not enjoying this. It stinks to high hell. And even though it's legal, I just don't care.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything for me. And, with the alcohol, and a lot of times I can take it or leave it. I can go like Greg's like I have to pack up and go back to Wisconsin for the week. And some weeks I've taking a bottle of cheap whiskey with me. I'll drink it at night. I'll take a couple of beers. This time I'm thinking, you know what? I got enough shit to do. Like, I'm recording with Rich one night. I'm recording with Mark one night. I'm like, you know what? And I'd like to work out every night. I said, I don't need to try to juggle all this shit plus what I'm there for, training for my new job, with getting drunk so I can't do things. So it's all about, for me, it's just kind of all about what I have time for. And
I
I
started
don't have
drinking a
time
lot.
for it.
The pandemic made me start drinking a lot.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do anything.
Right.
It was depressing, and it made me not care.
Right. And that's the danger, isn't it?
It is.
That
I
is
mean,
certainly the
now I'm to
danger.
the point where, like, I don't overdo it most of the time, and then I'll take like a week and just dry out.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot,
But
to be
but
perfectly honest with
things are
you.
getting back to normal.
Yeah,
So
that helps. That helps. So anyway, steering back towards the episode, I mean, that was, my biggest takeaway was the very cut and dry Wesley. I'm a young kid. I don't get drugs. And then Tasha was like, I came from a colony where everybody was sex slavers and doing drugs all the time, and blah
and
blah
that
blah. And so
colony she came from looked pretty bad because we
it
witnessed it
was,
with her sister.
yeah, it was
Mhm.
fucked up. Turkana 4 was real bad.
It was just rape central. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
well, she makes mention of rape gangs. Even when
Yeah.
Tasha was talking, I'm like, okay, a whole gang of that's all they do is rape people. I don't need to see anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
We are absolutely good. So yeah, if you lived in a world like that, I think you'd want to be getting high all the time too, as long as just to escape how much life sucks. I get where she was coming from.
Something that spoke to me on the Symbiosis episode, and where I drew maybe obscurely a comparison, was the way that pimps get women
Mhm.
under their control by getting them
Yep.
addicted to drugs.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And
Hands down.
it really made me think of, that and the struggle that these women go through when they're human trafficked. Something that people downplay a lot, like, well, if you're an adult, how are you trafficked? Well, they have pimps that get them addicted to drugs, and then they are slaves.
Sure enough. That's
And
absolutely
that's how
correct.
that works. So that's kind of really where I was drawing these direct comparisons to it. Rich, what did you
Mhm.
think?
Well, I first thing I wanted to say was that there's actually some parallels between these two episodes, between this one and the game,
Oh yeah.
in
Mhm.
that there's obviously the addiction part of it, but there's also that alien species that are using the addiction to
Mhm.
further their cause, just like you've got in this episode in Symbiosis. Um, yeah, it's interesting. What I found the most interesting about this episode is the use of the Prime Directive and how
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
became turnabout by the end of
Right.
it.
True. True.
But the problem is with stuff like that, hands off isn't really the best approach, right? Like the Prime Directive, I think, got in the way with this because these people were clearly being taken advantage of, and
I
doing
don't
nothing is
I
basically
don't
just siding with the other people.
You have to
Mhm.
draw a line somewhere though, Rich, and say
Mhm.
like this is a bad example, but say, you have so many people that you've lent money to that haven't paid you back, that you say, I'm not lending people money anymore. That's the way it is. And
Mhm.
that's
Sure.
what the Prime Directive is. You cannot interfere with the evolution of a species. And if a species is taking advantage of another species that they have some sort of, you know, mutual relationship with that benefits each other, you can't do it. You
Right.
can't
Right.
interfere. That is the Prime Directive,
But okay,
even
And that
but
though
and that's
it's
a lot of
completely wrong
back and forth
morally.
between Picard and Beverly, because she's like, well, they're horrible and the Prime
Yeah.
Directive sucks and we should totally do something about it.
And Picard's like, yeah, they are horrible. You're right on everything you said, but Prime Directive.
Yeah,
Okay, but
exactly.
now let's apply that same mentality to the pimp um, sex worker situation. The question is, should we leave that alone as well, right? Because
And
they're
by you mean like the authorities. Should like the police
Right.
look at
the
that and
people in
say,
general. Yeah, yeah. I mean, society as a whole. I mean, I'm not going to leave this to the authorities because the
right,
authorities are only the rest of us in different
Rich,
positions.
your
right,
logic
exactly.
is not flawed.
Right.
And
No, you're absolutely right.
luckily in this case, we don't have a Prime Directive.
Right.
Right. True. True. Exactly. So yeah, so we can do something about it. We can right injustice. Where in this way, the Federation doesn't want to be the police of the, and Rich, as you move forward and watch more of Enterprise, this is a theme that keeps coming up because pre-Federation there is no Prime Directive, so they
Right.
just kind of go around and they're like, yeah, well, why don't we do this thing, and then it blows up in their face, and they're like,
Yeah.
maybe someday, Archer, Scott Bakula, once very openly says, maybe someday there'll be a rule, a directive of some kind.
It's so funny. I just saw that episode.
Yeah,
but
that keeps us from, keeps us from doing this kind of thing because it does more harm than good on the whole.
He kept wanting to interfere when he saw injustices on Enterprise, and that's why they had to eventually develop this Prime Directive, because a lot of the time it would do more harm than good. Like, say
Exactly.
you right some injustice, okay?
Right.
There's a possibility that injustice will bring about something else that's significant, that's for the positive later down the road. And that's kind of why they decided to stop doing that with the Prime Directive.
Maybe that's why we should never have a time machine, Aaron.
Oh no.
Oh,
I need a time machine for my own personal use.
It's coming back around. There was an episode earlier here in season 1 called Too Short a Season. It has to do with an elderly admiral. He's taken this drug to make himself younger, and of course that's not the main part of it. But prior in his career, in order to quote unquote solve a civil war on this planet, he armed the other side of the conflict. So he figured if both of them were equally armed, shit would work out. Well, it turned into 40 years of open civil war where hundreds of thousands of people died, and it's the exact reason the Prime Directive exists. Well, you should have come to that situation and say, yeah, it sucks that one side's killing the other side, but if I give them weapons, they're going to kill them back, and they're just going to keep killing, and it's never going to be resolved. So so
it's going to be like Afghanistan circa 1979.
Precisely correct. Yep, you can't do it. You can't, and so you can see where they're coming from. So, wow, this is I mean, we've kind of veered off talking about the drug aspect of it, but
I wanted to kind of circle a little bit back to addiction, if we could, and
please
talk about the game.
Yes, do it.
It was really interesting to me how all the adults are ganging up on Wesley, saying, you're going to do this. You need to do it. And Ashley Judd too.
Ashley Judd in her second or third appearance on TNG, and really one of the first things she ever did. She was very young, but you're really right. It's not the other way around. It's not like the kids are like, "Woo, we love this. Try it, adults." And it was, Riker, who's man whore and gets it from some random chick on Risa and brings it back.
Right.
And
but it obviously wasn't a drug. It was a game. But what it did was it stimulated the pleasure center of your brain, which is much like drugs do. That's why I thought this was a good comparison.
Oh, I agree.
But at the same time, it really made me think a lot about society's pressures and pressure to do things that might not necessarily be good for you, namely drugs.
Right.
Not only that, but you could draw a direct line to an older generation pressuring a younger generation to do pretty much anything, right?
Right.
Oh, you have to have a job. You have to have this. You have to have that.
Got to go to college.
You got to go to college. You have to have a house and a picket fence and 2.5 kids and a dog, right?
Exactly. Yeah, everything is very one size fits all.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I thought was interesting about this was the video games, to some people, can be very addictive. I mean, this was kind of ahead of its time,
big
right?
time,
because there's a reward to it, right? And they've made it even more addicting with like the advent of, on Xbox, they've got achievements, and on PlayStation, they've got trophies. You do certain things in a game, and something pops up and says, "Hey, you got an award for doing that. Keep doing it."
Exactly.
I mean, nudge. That hits that dopamine center in the brain, and all of a sudden you're there. It's just like the mobile games,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's cell phones in general. An entire generation of kids. You guys have younger kids. I have a kid who's younger, though I wouldn't say he's, at least when he's here in my house, he doesn't really have his phone with him. But my friend Miranda, she's got 2 kids who are just addicted to having the screens. Got to have the screens. It's very much like
my daughter's like that with Roblox, and I'll have to say
that's what it is. That's what it is with Miranda's kids. Roblox.
I'll have to say you have to take an hour off.
Yeah,
and she'll be like, okay, and she'll do it. But like she'll play for 12 hours if you'd let her.
I know, because it's always do this and add this, and Natalie is her daughter. She'll like get it. She got me to get it on my phone so we could sit next to each other on the couch, and she's like,
I
"Now we're in a room
know.
together, run around and this and that." And I'm like, I don't really like
She's like,
this,
I got
but
this
yeah.
super rare black unicorn or
It was the
whatever.
same.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
I've got a new sword and I've got a
yeah.
new hat or what the hell. Yeah, it's just and it's obviously all of it is built. They must be making money off of it somehow. There's ads in the game or something. I don't really pay attention.
So you can buy something called Robux.
Of course.
And then you can buy extra things. And I've been letting Lexi get Robux. So I'm actually buying her Robux.
Oh, it's not her. She's never
Right.
owned money.
Because she's 7. She doesn't have a job. But
Right.
I'm letting her get Robux for these achievements if she achieves this. And
Yeah.
it's like this much work is worth this many Robux.
Work in real life, like doing chores or homework or something, or
Yes.
just
Yep.
okay. You're right. That's the way jobs work. You perform labor,
Right.
you're compensated. So yes, that's a good lesson. You're
So I was
absolutely right.
trying to figure out a way to kind of like marry the two. Okay, but this is what work and responsibility and reward really is.
Right.
It's through
True.
work.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, don't let me forget. I do have my Easter egg at the end, but other thoughts.
Oh no, I
guys?
know Rich has
Yes,
some stuff to say.
Please.
What do you think,
do?
Rich?
Okay.
Yeah. What else
Is
did
he-
you?
Is he?
I likened this entire episode to Riker getting an STD on that planet and bringing it back to the Enterprise, and it spread around like
I
It's-
know.
like peanut butter on toast.
it's
It's like
everywhere.
it's like
It's pretty
gonorrhea.
close.
It's turning your brain into Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes,
I mean, it is. I mean, you think about it. It could be. Yeah, it's Tasha Yar and Wesley having their say no to drugs moment, but it's
Right.
also the whole protect yourself when you're out there.
Right.
Hanging out with whoever. Whatever,
I would say
right?
in this case it would be put a bag over your head or wear Morpheus glasses, so you can't, because it was the thing that zapped you in the eyeballs. So okay,
well, it's parable, Charlie. It's not like literal, but so like I don't think you have to wear like
you don't really have to
over
wrap it
your
up.
head.
You don't have to wear a blindfold.
No. But the idea is to me is the way it came off was Riker brought it back, and every single person that he exposed it to spread it to another person or another 2 people or
Right.
another 3 people, and eventually the whole ship is doing it. As soon as LaForge was like really stressed, he's like, "Hey, come on over here. I could show you." And
Right.
then LaForge has the STD, and
How
he's
does
passing
Right.
it on to whatever.
Play that
I
game.
was
That doesn't make any sense. And how did the
It doesn't.
flashing thing that Data used work on him?
he was still wearing his visor. He was
Right.
wearing his visor the whole time. So somehow the game adapted itself to go directly to his visual cortex. You know what? Who cares?
They needed to put him in stasis.
They needed to put him in they needed to have him as the role of the person that was trying to fix things.
Right.
Between him and Data.
But Wesley was the guest star. Okay, let me sneak in my Easter egg at
Let's
the end of
hear it.
Symbiosis. At the end of Symbiosis, this was the not final appearance, but the final filmed segment with Denise Crosby, who I met and interviewed a number of years back. She was a guest star at a local con, very nice woman. As Picard and Beverly are walking out of the cargo bay and the doors are closing, Denise jams her in the distance, jams back and waves because she was saying goodbye to the audience.
And they're like, "Bye, bitch."
Well, I mean, it was, and then the next episode was The Skin of Evil, where she's killed off. So she hadn't really died yet, but of course, people knew she was leaving, and she obviously knew she was leaving. So, Denise, if you would have hung in there, you would have. I don't know. I think a lot of cool stuff could have happened with that character.
I don't know why she left. I've never heard the story about why.
I think it's a parable of one of these. I want to do different things with my career. I want to be in movies. It was the same story with Michelle Forbes, who was Ensign Rowe, which is why she didn't take the first officer.
Totally different story, and it was about
what's your version, Aaron?
She was having issues with drugs and alcohol and was a little bit resentful of her position anyway. So they decided to write her off, but it was on fairly good terms, and that's why she got to keep coming back.
I don't know that. You know what? I'm gonna check that out because
Google
that is not what I heard, but not right now because we're doing a show.
I actually heard it fairly recently. I read a nice little article about it afterwards too.
Well, I will check it out, but for the sake, go ahead, Rich.
Aaron's version makes more sense to me, and here's why: if you're going to leave to go and make movies, you don't go and make Pet Sematary and then go on to make nothing.
That is 1000% correct. Let's move on to the news. And the good news about the news is that this is going to be super duper brief because we've talked about it 2 times. So what I propose is the link that I put in here was the master. I propose we literally spend less than 15 seconds on each one of these pieces of news. First one is Strange New Worlds. Aaron.
Strange New Worlds has no release date, but it looks great, and the panel was really cool. The end.
Very cool. All right,
and we're gonna get Uhura, Chapel, and Dr.
Oh yeah,
Mbenga.
That's right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
thank you, Rich.
Yep.
Also,
that's okay.
Red carpet ladies suck. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, very good. And Rich, Picard.
Picard season 2 trailer was premiered. It's coming in February of 2022, and it looks like they're going back to the future or past.
Gonna go back in
time. I get the briefest one. Star Trek Discovery season 4 premieres on November 18th, and that is the news that we got. Back to Aaron and talking about Star Trek Prodigy.
We got an official trailer which looked amazing, and we got to see some of the voice actors, which they were great. Oh my gosh, they were great, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were super great.
And
Rich,
we have a release date for that, don't we?
October 28th.
October 28th. And the red carpet ladies sucked.
Thank you very much. Rich, take us and talk about how much the second half of Lower Decks is going to suck.
I don't know how much the second half of Lower Decks is going to suck because it just seems like a downward slide, so it's almost impossible to like calculate. However, we have a mid-season trailer for the last 5 episodes of Lower Decks, as if anybody really cares about that. Yeah. This is some Walking Dead level like pandering BS.
Right. And that panel they had.
Yes.
Oh, it was horrible.
God. I didn't even see it because it was after my bedtime, so I'm glad I missed it.
Yeah,
but
they had that kid from Stand By Me in it too.
Oh my God, that kid! Oh
yeah, and the red carpet ladies still sucked.
Oh, I'm glad to hear. Well, in addition to the red carpet lady sucking, I get to take us home because the final bit was about a 7-second clip of the remastered Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the director's cut, debuting exclusively on Paramount Plus in 4K. There was a shot of the Enterprise flying through the Voyager spacecraft, which was only seen in that program, and that's it.
Wait,
that is the end of Star Trek Day.
I've got one more.
Okay.
That orchestra that they did was really nice.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'll do you one better. I got one more. The red carpet lady sucked. Come on, why you got to step on my joke? Oh. Well, speaking of things that I think kind of suck, let's take on the second news story about a concept that it's like, what can we dig out of the trash to make the next Star Trek show? Aaron, go ahead.
They're going to do a series about Star Trek Academy.
Starfleet Academy.
Oh, whatever. They seem
how many times are they going to dust this off?
That's what I said.
Excited about it.
It's like they're going through a box of like super dusty old shit from the 70s.
Maybe it'll be like Veronica Mars style, and they'll be trying to tap into like 16 to 18-year-olds. I don't know.
You think so?
Oh my God, that'd be great. And there could be like crimes and like one of them's an investigator or whatever.
Yeah. I would like that.
That would be fun. I like it. But yeah, I just, and all the picks they grabbed are from the damn JJ movies, which automatically just makes my brain turn off. I don't want to hear about it.
Time Machine.
I am not at all interested in that at all, and let's hope that it goes away.
I mean, it's possible. Kurtzman, I don't know. He's kind of like, I don't know. He's one of those cohorts of J.J. Abrams, and his whole shtick is the whole problem.
His cult of personality, as it were. The cult of personality. Guys, we've gotten all the way through. We've gotten all the way through this, and I don't think we've stumbled upon a great name for this episode. Am I missing something?
I did one.
Yeah, just call it Time Machine.
That was the name of the last episode.
It was Aaron's Time Machine.
We can't.
That's right.
Again. So
how about red carpet ladies suck?
Yes, excellent, very good.
Wait, why can't we do Time Machine again? A time machine is so you could do things again.
Because then every episode will be called Time Machine, Rich. We can't have that. Oh, my God. Okay, so the red carpet ladies suck. And Aaron, I think it is actually your turn to take us out.
I did it last time, I swear to God.
You are lying. Okay,
No.
Rich, go ahead.
For more information about Starfleet International, please visit the USS Grand Petoskey and the USS Nomad on Facebook. Catchphrases, then canned outro. Oh, wait.
Oh, my God. Friends, thank you as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trekking.
Kapla.
Guys, wrap your head in plastic. You don't want to get an STD from Will Riker. Code 47 is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for our great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, or the podcast platform of your choice. If you would like to be part of the conversation, visit our new Discord server, or join us on Facebook, or follow us at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends on YouTube, and don't forget to visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.